The exhaustion is not physical, it's existential. What if your tiredness has nothing to do with sleep? Most people collapse into bed every night, yet wake up more drained than before. This is not a body problem. This is a soul problem. When a human being lives a life that does not belong to them, when they follow paths chosen by parents, society, or fear, the inner self begins to suffocate. That suffocation feels like tiredness. It feels like Monday morning dread, like going through motions, like existing without truly being. The body is resting, but the psyche is screaming. This exhaustion comes from carrying a false self, a mask so heavy that your real identity collapses beneath its weight every single day. The shocking truth is, you are not tired of living. You are tired of pretending. You are tired of performing a version of yourself that was never authentically yours. Until you confront this truth, no amount of sleep, vacation, or distraction will ever truly restore you. The shadow self, what you bury, slowly destroys you. What if everything you've been hiding from yourself is actually killing your joy? Every human being carries a shadow, the rejected, suppressed, and denied parts of their personality. The anger you were told not to show, the dreams you were told were foolish, the desires you buried because they made others uncomfortable. These rejected pieces don't disappear. They go underground, and from underground, they drain your energy mercilessly. They sabotage your relationships. They create inexplicable sadness. They whisper that life is pointless. The shocking reality is that the parts of yourself you are most ashamed of are the very parts demanding your attention the most. When you suppress your shadow, you don't become better, you become divided. A divided person is an exhausted person. Wholeness requires courage, the courage to look into your own darkness without flinching. You cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge. The moment you stop running from your shadow and turn to face it, something extraordinary happens. Your energy begins to return. The persona trap. You've been living someone else's life. What if the life you're living was never actually designed for you? From childhood, society hands us a costume, a role to play, a personality to perform. Be responsible, be successful, be likable, be quiet, be loud, be whatever they need you to be. Over decades of wearing this costume, most people completely forget what their real face looks like. This is the persona trap, living so deeply inside a social mask that the authentic self becomes a stranger. And here is the devastating consequence. When you live someone else's version of your life, your soul generates no genuine energy, passion dies, enthusiasm becomes an act, motivation requires force. Because deep within, your true self knows this is not its life. It knows it is trapped inside borrowed dreams, borrowed values, and borrowed ambitions. This creates a profound, unnamed grief, the grief of a life unlived while you are still breathing. Escaping this trap requires one terrifying question. Who am I when no one is watching? Individuation, the journey back to your real self. What if the cure for your emptiness is not adding more to your life, but becoming more of yourself? There is a process, a profound psychological journey called individuation. It is the process of becoming who you truly are, beneath all conditioning, all fear, all masks. It is the most difficult and most rewarding journey a human being can undertake. Most people never begin it because it requires confronting uncomfortable truths. It demands that you question everything you were told to believe about success, happiness, relationships, and purpose. Individuation is not selfishness, it is psychological survival. When you begin walking your own genuine path, something miraculous occurs. Energy you thought was permanently lost begins returning. Mornings feel different. Small things become meaningful again. This is not magic. This is what happens when the soul is finally aligned with the life being lived. The exhaustion was never about life being meaningless. It was about you living a meaning that wasn't yours. Begin the return to yourself and watch tiredness transform into aliveness. The midlife crisis is actually a spiritual awakening. What if your breakdown is actually a breakthrough in disguise? There comes a moment in many lives, sometimes at 30, sometimes at 45, when everything that used to work suddenly stops working. The career feels hollow, the relationships feel distant, the achievements feel empty. Society calls this a crisis, but this moment is actually the psyche screaming for transformation. It is the soul demanding that you stop living the first half of your life's program and begin the real, deeper work of becoming. This moment is not failure, it is an invitation to descend into your own depths, to excavate buried dreams, to reconnect with lost parts of yourself. The people who answer this invitation emerge fundamentally transformed, more alive, more authentic, more at peace than they have ever been. The people who run from it, who suppress it with distractions, addictions, or busyness, remain exhausted indefinitely. The universe is not punishing you with this emptiness. It is redirecting you toward your truest life. Will you have the courage to listen? Meaning is the only cure. Purpose defeats exhaustion. What if the single most powerful antidote to life exhaustion is meaning? Research, wisdom, and lived human experience all confirm the same devastating truth. A person can endure almost any suffering if they understand why they are suffering. But a person with comfort, security, and apparent success can collapse completely if their life feels purposeless. This is the final frontier of healing exhaustion, not better habits, not more productivity, not achievement or recognition, meaning. When your daily actions connect to something larger than your ego, when you serve something that matters, create something authentic, love something deeply, the psychological exhaustion begins to dissolve. Meaning is not found, it is built through conscious choices, genuine relationships, creative expression, and the courageous act of living authentically. The exhausted soul is not searching for rest, it is searching for reason. Give your life genuine meaning. Not the meaning society prescribed, but the meaning your own soul recognizes as true, and you will discover energy you forgot you possessed. What if you are not actually tired of life, but tired of the life you've been forced to perform? What if the exhaustion you feel every single morning, that heavy, unexplainable weight in your chest before the day even begins, is not weakness, not laziness, not depression, but your soul sending you an emergency signal? What if everything you've been told about how to live, the career path, the social mask, the people-pleasing, the buried dreams, the silenced desires, what if all of it has been slowly draining the life directly out of you? And what if the version of yourself that feels most alive, most electric, most real, is buried somewhere deep inside you, still breathing, still waiting, still screaming to be recognized? What if I told you that your tiredness is not the end of your story, but the very beginning of your real one? Stay with me, because what you are about to hear might be the most important thing you listen to this year. And it might, if you are brave enough to receive it, completely change the way you experience being alive. What if the most dangerous lie ever told to human beings is this: that feeling tired of life means something is wrong with you? We live in a world that medicalizes exhaustion, monetizes distraction, and pathologizes the very symptoms that are trying to save us. You cannot sleep enough, you cannot scroll enough, you cannot work enough, achieve enough, consume enough to fill the hollow space that has opened inside your chest. And yet every solution offered to you is external. Take this pill, book this vacation, buy this thing, achieve this goal, follow this routine. But the exhaustion returns. It always returns. Because the world is treating the symptom while the wound goes completely untouched. Here is a truth so uncomfortable that most people spend their entire lives running from it. The exhaustion you feel is not about life. It is about the specific life you are living. There is an enormous difference between those two things. And until you understand that difference, truly, deeply, uncomfortably understand it, you will remain trapped in a cycle of temporary relief and permanent depletion. Think about your earliest memories of who you wanted to be, not who your parents needed you to become, not who your teachers rewarded you for being, not the version of yourself that earns the most approval in the room, but you, the raw, unedited, genuine version of the human being that arrived into this world. What happened to that person? Somewhere along the road of becoming acceptable, most of us performed a quiet but devastating act of self-betrayal. We looked at our authentic desires and decided they were too strange, too risky, too inconvenient for the people around us. We looked at our real emotions and decided they were too intense, too messy, too much. We looked at our true nature and decided it needed to be fixed. And so we built a mask, a beautiful, functional, socially approved mask, a personality designed not to express who we are, but to manage how others perceive us. We wore it so consistently, so expertly, that eventually we forgot it was ever a mask at all. We began to believe the mask was the face. And this is where the exhaustion truly begins. Because carrying a mask is the most energy-consuming activity a human being can perform. Every single day, you are not simply living, you are performing. You are managing. You are monitoring every word, every reaction, every emotion to ensure it fits within the acceptable boundaries of the person you have agreed to pretend to be. No human body was designed to sustain that labor indefinitely. But here is what makes this even more devastating. The parts of yourself you buried, the rejected desires, the suppressed anger, the abandoned dreams, the emotions you were told were inappropriate. They did not disappear when you denied them. They went underground. And from underground, they work against you. They emerge as unexplained sadness on perfectly fine days. They appear as rage that seems disproportionate to the situation. They manifest as the hollow feeling you get when you achieve something you worked years toward and feel nothing. They create the haunting sensation that you are watching your own life from behind glass, present but not participating. This is what happens when a human being is divided against themselves. The shocking truth that most people never confront is this: you are your own source of exhaustion, not life, not the world, not other people. The version of yourself you are suppressing is consuming enormous psychological energy simply by being suppressed. The war between who you are and who you are pretending to be is the most costly war you will ever fight, and it is being fought inside you every hour of every day. So what is the solution? Not more willpower, not a better morning routine, not another self-improvement system designed to make your false self more efficient. The solution is integration. The solution is wholeness. It begins with the most terrifying question a human being can ask themselves: who am I when I am not performing for anyone? Most people cannot answer this question immediately because they have been performing for so long that they have genuinely lost contact with the answer. They know what music their friends think is cool. They know what career their parents are proud of. They know what opinions make them likable at dinner parties. But who they actually are, what they genuinely feel, truly desire, deeply believe, that has become a stranger. And meeting a stranger who lives inside your own skin is an experience of profound disorientation. But it is the most necessary disorientation of your life, because here is what waits on the other side of that disorientation: aliveness, not happiness. Happiness is too fragile, too weather-dependent to be the goal. Aliveness, that quality of experience where you are fully present in your own life, where your energy feels genuinely yours rather than borrowed, where Monday morning carries possibility rather than dread, where you no longer need to escape your life because your life is no longer a prison. This is not a fantasy. This is the natural state of a human being who is living authentically. Now I want to speak directly to those of you who are in that particular kind of darkness, the darkness of what the world might call a midlife crisis, though it can arrive at 25 just as easily as 45. That moment when everything you built stops working, when the achievements feel hollow, when the relationships feel distant, when you look in the mirror and recognize the face but cannot locate the person. The world will tell you this is a breakdown. I am telling you something different. This is a breakthrough trying to happen. This is the moment your authentic self has finally accumulated enough pressure to break through the surface of your performed existence. This is the psyche's emergency intervention, its way of saying the path you are on is not the path that leads to your life. Turn around, go deeper, begin again. But this time, begin as yourself. Every human being who has ever emerged from that darkness, truly emerged, not merely distracted themselves from it, reports the same experience. They did not lose themselves in that darkness. They found themselves. For the first time in years, perhaps for the first time in their lives, they met the person they had been suppressing and discovered that person was extraordinary. So here is what the journey back to yourself actually requires. It requires honesty, the kind of honesty that is genuinely uncomfortable. Look at your life. Not the narrative you tell others about your life, not the highlights you present publicly. Look at the actual daily experience of being you. Does it feel like yours? Does it feel like a life you would choose if you could choose freely? Or does it feel like a costume you put on so long ago that you've forgotten what your skin feels like underneath? It requires courage, because the authentic self, when it begins to emerge, will make demands. It will ask you to end relationships that require you to be someone you are not. It will ask you to walk away from careers that pay well but cost too much. It will ask you to disappoint people who love the mask but have never been invited to know the real you. This is not cruelty. This is the most loving thing you can do, both for yourself and for the people in your life. A person who is authentic is capable of genuine connection. A person who is masked is only capable of connection between masks. It requires dissent. You must be willing to go into the parts of yourself you have avoided. The anger you labeled inappropriate, the grief you told yourself you were over, the fears you called irrational, the desires you called selfish. These buried elements are not your weaknesses, they are your unintegrated strengths. Anger, properly understood and channeled, becomes boundaries. Grief, properly felt, becomes depth and compassion. Fear, properly examined, becomes wisdom. Desire, properly honored, becomes purpose. And purpose, genuine, self-generated, soul-recognized purpose, is the ultimate answer to exhaustion. Because here is the final truth, and perhaps the most important thing I will say to you today. A human being can endure almost any suffering when they understand why they are enduring it. But a human being with every external comfort and apparent success will collapse, spiritually, psychologically, existentially, if their life carries no meaning. The exhausted soul is not searching for rest. It is searching for reason. It is searching for a life that feels like it matters, for relationships that go beyond performance, for work that connects to something larger than a paycheck, for the experience, even briefly, even imperfectly, of being fully themselves. This is what you have been searching for in every distraction, every achievement, every relationship that promised to fill the hollow space. Not more stimulation, more authenticity, not more success, more self. The path back to aliveness is not comfortable. It is not quick. It is not offered to you by any app or productivity system or 5-step program. It is offered to you only by the most difficult teacher you will ever encounter, yourself. But I promise you with every certainty that genuine human wisdom possesses, that the journey toward your authentic self is the only journey that ends the exhaustion permanently. Every other path is a detour. Every distraction is a delay. Every mask is a postponement of the life that is waiting for you inside your own unexplored depths. You are not tired of being alive. You are tired of being half alive. And the extraordinary truth, the truth that should make your heart beat faster right now, is that the other half of your aliveness is still there, still intact, still waiting, still breathing inside you, beneath every mask, beneath every performance, beneath every year of carefully managed existence. It has not abandoned you. It is waiting for you to stop abandoning it. Begin there. Begin now. Not tomorrow, not when circumstances improve, not when you feel ready, because you will never feel ready for the most important journey of your life. Begin in this moment with this simple, terrifying, liberating decision. I will stop performing the life I was assigned and begin living the life that is genuinely mine. That decision, made once, remade every day, is the beginning of the end of your exhaustion and the beginning of something the world can barely prepare you for, the extraordinary, inconvenient, fully alive experience of being completely, unapologetically, authentically yourself. What if everything we discussed today could be reduced to a single, devastating truth? You were not born tired. You were born electric, full of genuine impulse, genuine feeling, genuine desire. The exhaustion you carry is acquired. It was accumulated through years of suppression, performance, and the quiet betrayal of your own authentic nature. The 6 realities we explored today are not separate ideas. They are chapters of a single story. The story of what happens when a human being is separated from themselves and what becomes possible when they find their way back. Your exhaustion is existential, not physical. No amount of sleep heals a divided soul. Your shadow, the parts of yourself you rejected, is draining your energy from the inside, demanding to be acknowledged and integrated. The persona you constructed to survive society has become a prison you no longer recognize as a prison. The journey of individuation, of becoming genuinely, completely yourself, is not optional for those who wish to be truly alive. Your breakdowns, your crises, your moments of unbearable emptiness are not failures. They are invitations from your deepest self to begin a more authentic life. And finally, meaning, your own self-generated, soul-recognized meaning, is the only permanent cure for the tiredness that no vacation, achievement, or distraction has ever been able to touch. The path back to yourself is not easy, but it is the only path that leads anywhere worth going. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not beyond repair. You are a human being who has been living away from yourself for too long, and it is never, never too late to come home.